them feet. Make them ball out you. All it up and repeat. Give me silent trouble. Uncle no span double. Make the girl them bubble. Turn the place to rubble. Take it to a level. With the bass and treble. Make them know say uncle no sub is a true born rebel. Bang ding the ding zaba ding. Say nuts man come again. Bang ding the ding zaba ding. Even no stop. Just like if I'm about to put it up under the swing to the king. Ba-da-ba-ding, wa-da-dang-ding. Bang, ba-da-ba-ong, ba-da-ba-eng, ba-da-bang. Ba-da-ba-da-ding, wa-da-dang-ding. Bang, ba-da-ba-ong, ba-da-ba-eng, ba-da-bang. Criminal time, 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 criminal time. Ba-da-ba-ding, wa-da-dang-ding.
Arrow, punch it out like green arrow. Leave some boy in a wheelbarrow. Damn it. Dangerous, 373. Hey, that's me. This is Arrow. Punch it out like green arrow. We no narrow. Check it. Punch it up, punch it up, punch it up. Rah, rah. I want we say light, you know what I mean? Light it up. Blaze them, you see what I say? We don't play none at all. This is Arrow. Point it out like an arrow. I told you. Show. Tell them this. Was under one place and I come. Who a fool them? Oh, them a come hype up. Them no read the script and them never get the right up. Tell them straight how they won't place it light up.
Check.
They won't place it light up. Who a fool them? Oh, them a come hype up. Them no read the script and them never get the right up. Right up, right up, right up, right up. Call the snipers. We a go snipe them. Fool, come a run up them out and them a hype them. Well, it's your choice. Do what you like then. Follow you go follow. The wall by your icon. But the outcome definitely frightening. And them a pretty you no find it in lightning. Man, we get mad. I go strike them with lightning. I go chop them like some old time violin. Yes, was under one place and I come. Who a fool them? Oh, them a come hype up. Them no read the script and them never get the right up. Tell them straight how they won't place the light up. This, they won't place the light up. Who a fool them? Oh, them a come hype up. Them no read the script and them never get the right up. Right up, right up, right up, right up. Them a strangers, but who a did not worry. Everything locked down, cook and it correct. Have them a panic when we start rally. Cause we everything them put down in the alley. Hey, them not take my sound for dolly. My selector, show him not take sorry. Machine them up like water in the quarry. Can we a go down sound boy in a hurry? Show. The world will you see light up. Hype up. Light it up. This is Arrow. Point it out like green arrow. Yeah, man. Whether it's wide, it's shallow, narrow. Wheel them out in a wheelbarrow, sorrow. Yeah. Light it up, light it up, light it up. Rah, rah. I want we say light, you know what I mean? Light it up. Blaze them, you see what I say? We don't play none at all. This is Arrow. Point it out like an arrow. I told you. Show. Tell them this.
Right about on them case again. Selector J-Man. Euphonic. Jungle I want serious place, serious business. Yeah, watch yourself. It dread inna the jungle. Watch your step, 'cause you way dead inna the jungle. 'Cause we not take disrespect inna the jungle. Know your place, know your role, stay humble. Only pattern inna the jungle. Survival that are the plan inna the jungle. Enough body get nyam inna the jungle. Respect are the key inna the jungle. Well, chilling out in jungle. Only pattern inna the jungle. Survival that are the plan inna the jungle. Nobody get nyam inna the jungle. Respect are the key inna the jungle. Watch your step, road boy. Inna the jungle. Well, Jed, inna the jungle. Inna the jungle. Respect are the key. Well, Jed inna the jungle. Yeah. Watch your step, road boy. 'Cause you're dead inna this. Yeah. It dread inna the jungle. Watch your step, 'cause you dead inna the jungle. 'Cause we not take disrespect inna the jungle. Know your place, know your role, stay humble. Only pattern inna the jungle. Survival that are the plan inna the jungle. Enough body get nyam inna the jungle. Respect are the key inna the jungle. Yeah.
What the hell, chat? What the hell, chat? What the fuck, chat? Actually, what the fuck? YouTube's actually down, chat. Funny, YouTube's down. I'm streaming live on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? No one can find me.
I'm Amy Goodman. Reverend Jesse, welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report.
It's back.
I'm Amy Goodman. Reverend Jesse Jackson,
I'm back.
a civil rights leader and two-time presidential candidate, has died at his home in Chicago at the age of 84.
Oh, Reverend.
He was a member of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s inner circle, marching alongside him for civil rights. He was with Dr. King when he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee in 1968. Reverend Jackson became the founder and president of Rainbow Push Coalition in Chicago, the first African-American to greet South African President Nelson Mandela when he came out of jail in 1990.
Amazing person, dude.
This is Reverend Jesse Jackson on Democracy Now! Back in 2017, shortly after President Trump took office for the first time, he spoke about expanding the constitutional right to vote.
Wow.
When we got the right to vote in 1965, blacks couldn't vote, white women couldn't serve on juries in the South, 18-year-olds couldn't vote, you couldn't vote bilingually, you could not vote bilingually. But we were able to challenge that and get proportional representation and democratize democracy.
After headlines, we'll hear from Jesse Jackson
pretty good
in
for
his
74.
own words on his past appearances in Democracy Now!, and we'll speak with those who knew him well. A second round of indirect talks between the Trump administration and Iranian officials is underway in Geneva, Switzerland. Ahead of the talks, Iran's foreign ministry said it's willing to discuss limits to its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief, adding Iran will not accept zero uranium enrichment. On Monday, Iran's military staged war games in the Strait of Hormuz as the U.S. Navy steamed a second aircraft carrier strike group toward the Arabian Sea. The USS Gerald Ford is the largest Air Force carrier. It was off the coast of Venezuela when the U.S. abducted the Venezuelan president and his wife. U.S. officials said Friday Trump is considering an attack on Iran that could last for weeks. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who's been pushing for the U.S. to topple Iran's government, was in Tel Aviv Monday. A visit, he said, was to reassure the Israeli people that there's no gap between President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Iran policy.
There are two lines in the water right now. One's a diplomatic line, trying to find a way to end this regime diplomatically that will advance our national security interest. The other line is the military option. I think President Trump
what
is
regime
looking
is he
for
talking
which line can catch
about?
the biggest fish.
Fuck you, Lindsey Graham.
The bottom line is we're into weeks, not months, in terms of...
Get your... Oh, please, can we vote these people out, chat? Hello? Yeah, what the hell? Twitch is down today, too. Fucking Twitch went down? And YouTube just went down. I think Amazon's having some problems. What happened? Maybe it's just the West Coast server. I don't know, but like...
the decision making.
Ukrainian and Russian officials are also meeting in Geneva, Switzerland today for U.S.-brokered peace talks, just days ahead of the 4th anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Russia is demanding Ukraine give up 20% of the eastern region of Donetsk, which Ukraine refuses to do. Ahead of the talks, U.S. Senators Richard Blumenthal and Sheldon Whitehouse traveled to Kyiv to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky and vowed to pass a bill aimed at Russia. Senator Blumenthal also said the U.S. should supply Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles and that the Pentagon should help guarantee Ukraine's security under any deal to end Russia's war.
There have to be ironclad, airtight security guarantees as the linchpin for peace. Ukraine needs and deserves a guarantee from the United States, not just European powers, that it will be actively engaged if Russia again attacks.
In Gaza, a senior Hamas leader involved in the ceasefire negotiations tells Dropsite News Hamas will not agree to demands that it unilaterally disarm.
Yeah, fuck you.
Naim
Good.
also said Hamas will not submit to Israel's demand for a total demilitarization of the Gaza Strip. This comes amidst reports that President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu agreed back in December that Hamas would be given a 2-month deadline to disarm. On Monday, the Hind Rajab Foundation said it's filed a criminal complaint in Chile seeking the prosecution of Ram Kovtun, an Israel Defense Forces sniper accused of taking part in the deadly 2024 siege of the Al-Shifa hospital. The World Health Organization reports at least 21 patients were killed during the attacks on the hospital. Meanwhile, the head of the United Nations Development Program is demanding greater access to Gaza to expand aid and recovery efforts. Administrator Alexander De Croo spoke from Gaza City.
More than 300,000 families in Gaza are looking for housing. Only 10% of people today living in Gaza have housing which has the basic accommodation. So 90% of the population is today looking for housing. You have seen in which very difficult circumstances people have to live or have to survive.
Looks like Twitch is
President
back now.
Trump called
Okay.
Cuba a failed nation Monday and
You couldn't browse anything on Twitch, at least for my computer, at least for my Xfinity. I tried my phone too, which is T-Mobile, and I also couldn't browse anything on YouTube either. So I couldn't look at anyone's channels on Twitch. It's right before I went live. I was already live on Twitch and YouTube, but I couldn't even find my channel on YouTube. I kept searching and kept. Now everything's back, I think, though. That is
refused to
weird.
rule out military action aimed
Must have had a
at
big
toppling
problem.
the Cuban government. Trump spoke to reporters aboard Air Force One.
And they should absolutely make a deal because it's really a humanitarian threat.
Oh yeah, there it
We'll
is.
see how it all turns out. But Cuba and us, we are talking. In the meantime, there's an embargo. There's no oil. There's no money. There's no anything.
Cuba's deputy foreign minister responded to Trump's remarks, writing, quote, "It's frequent for U.S. officials and diplomats to claim U.S. aggression is not responsible for difficulties in Cuba. It seems they don't listen to their president," unquote. The Trump administration's blockade of fuel has triggered a severe humanitarian.
Yeah, 1 million people reported an issue with YouTube just a minute ago, so it wasn't just me. Amazon.
Economic crisis in Cuba, compounding the impact of the U.S. economic embargo that's been in place since 1962. On Monday, Spain's foreign ministry said it would use United Nations channels to send humanitarian aid to Cuba. The announcement came a day after activists rallied outside the Cuban embassy in Mexico City, expressing solidarity with the Cuban people while protesting the U.S. blockade.
Faced with this attack that aims to leave Cuba without energy for hospitals,
hello?
without fuel for its ambulances, without resources to bring food to the family table, solidarity between peoples is emerging today as the most powerful antidote against the blockade.
Thank you.
Because while the United States government imposes sanctions and punishment, dignified governments and peoples, like Mexico's, respond with brotherhood.
Thank you.
Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension said Monday the FBI's formally notified investigators their agency will not receive access to evidence in the killing of Alex Preti. Preti was shot to death in Minneapolis January 24th by Border Patrol agent Jesus Ochoa and Customs and Border Protection Officer Raimundo Gutierrez, who fired 10 rounds in under 5 seconds. 6 of the bullets were fired as Preti lay motionless on the ground. The FBI previously refused to share information about the shooting of Venezuelan immigrant Julio Cesar Sosa Celis, who was shot in the leg by ICE agents who then lied about the circumstances of the shooting. And Renee Nicole Macklin-Good, who was fatally shot by a Border Patrol officer on January 7th. Democratic Governor Tim Walz blasted the FBI's withholding of evidence, writing, quote, "Minnesota needs impartial investigations into the shootings of American citizens on our streets. Trump's left hand cannot investigate his right hand. The families of the deceased deserve better," unquote.
Yeah, hello?
And on Capitol Hill, Attorney General Pam Bondi is facing bipartisan criticism after she told Congress all documents related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have been released. That's despite the fact the Justice Department still holds almost 3 million pages. On Sunday, Republican Congressmember Tom Massey of Kentucky, who co-authored the Epstein Files Transparency Act, told ABC News more files should be released and unredacted. Massey said he no longer has confidence in Bondi as Attorney General and responded to President Trump's personal attacks.
Donald Trump told us that even though, he had dinner with these kinds of people in New York City and West Palm Beach, that he would be transparent, but he's not. He's still in with the Epstein class. This is the Epstein administration, and they're attacking me for trying to get these files released.
On Monday, Thomas Pritzker resigned from his position as executive chair of the Hyatt Hotels Corporation, citing his links to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The release of the Epstein files revealed Pritzker had been in regular contact with Epstein after his 2008 plea deal on sex crimes charges. In Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass Monday called for Casey Wasserman to step down as chairman of Los Angeles' 2028 Olympic Games over revelations about his ties to Epstein and Maxwell. In France, police have been searching the Arab World Institute as part of an investigation into links between its former president, Jack Lang, and Epstein. Meanwhile, Columbia University said it's cutting all ties with 2 faculty members in its dental college after the Epstein files revealed they had used an irregular process to help a girlfriend of Epstein gain admission. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more. In Minnesota, 2 ICE agents have been suspended and face criminal investigation into whether they lied to a jury about the shooting of a Venezuelan immigrant last month. The officers claimed Julio Cesar Sosa Celis and his cousin Alfredo Alejandro Algiorno attacked them with a snow shovel and a broom after a traffic stop on January 14th and said one of the officers fired in self-defense. Shortly after the shooting, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem described it as an attempted murder of federal law enforcement. But video evidence directly contradicts claims the men attacked federal agents. Sosa Celis said he'd retreated into his home and was shot in the leg while in the process of closing and locking his door. On Thursday, a federal judge dismissed felony assault charges against the cousins after the U.S. attorney in Minneapolis said newly discovered evidence had contradicted the officer's testimony and after ICE admitted the federal agents lied under oath. For more, we're joined in Minneapolis by Frederick Getz, criminal defense attorney who represents Alfredo Alejandro Algiorno. Thanks so much for being with us. Can you explain exactly what happened? How rare for the Department of Justice to admit that their agents lied?
Well, that is unusual, as is the result in this case, which is not only a dismissal, but a dismissal with prejudice, meaning that my client can never be charged again for anything to do with this incident.
Explain what took place as you understand it, Fred Getz.
What happened from my client's perspective, which I think is actually the truthful version, is that he was on his way home. He's a DoorDash delivery person. Correct. And he was followed by ICE agents. This followed the shooting of Renee Good by about a week, so he was filled with fear. He just wanted to get home. He gets out of his car and he's running in his home when he's tackled by the ICE agent. At that point, there is a struggle. There's no dispute about that. My client slipped out of his sweater and then was in the process of running into his home. His cousin comes out, Juan Sosa Celis, or Julio Sosa Celis. They do not strike the agent. There's no attack with a broom. There's no attack with a shovel. They run and retreat inside the house behind a closed door, and that's when they're shot at by the agent.
If you can explain what they were originally charged with.
They were charged with assaulting a federal officer, which is a very serious offense. As a result of this, Mr. Algiorno, I mean, he's been branded a criminal, not only here, but, through the internet in his home of Venezuela. And so this person who'd been living a law-abiding life up to this point is all of a sudden deemed a criminal. So it's had serious repercussions for this man and his reputation.
Can you talk about the significance of the judge dismissing the case with prejudice? What does with prejudice mean?
It means he can never be charged again for anything to do related with this. And I should point out that the judge granted the government's motion. So it was the government's moving to dismiss the case with prejudice that then gave the judge the opportunity to grant that relief. And the government should be commended for taking that bold and affirmative step in recognizing the wrong and making
They didn't want to make it into a big
it.
deal.
Can you explain where your client, Alfredo Alejandro Aljona, one of the two Venezuelan men, and Julio Cesar Sosa Celis are right now?
They've returned to their families in Minnesota.
And to have ICE issuing a statement admitting its federal agents made false statements under oath, admitting that their agents lied. Explain what's now happened to them.
There's ongoing investigations on both the state and the federal level, but I think it shows the importance of following the facts rather than following the story. The story came out early on. The story was wrong, and it's heartening to see that the facts prevail. This is one case, and I don't know if it's a message of things to come. We hope so, but in this one case, I'm confident justice has been served so far.
Why haven't the agents been publicly identified?
That's a question you'll have to ask ICE officials.
So they're on administrative leave. To explain what you expect to happen now with this investigation.
Well, there's two parallel investigations. There's an investigation by local authorities, state and local authorities, and there's an investigation by federal authorities. Those will both proceed at pace. I don't know, and you alluded to it in different contexts, the extent of coordination, if any, between those investigations. Before Operation Metro Surge, there was typically coordination between state and federal authorities in these type of cases, not this case.
Can you talk about the trauma of your client and his cousin?
They had different traumas, of course. Mr. Sosa Celis was shot physically, so that's an extra dimension to it. With my client, it's the trauma of being branded and internationally a criminal. This is somebody who violently attacked a federal officer. That never happened. And my client is doing the best he can to show that he's just the law-abiding person he's always been.
That's bullshit.
What connection do you see between their case and what Trump officials said about Renee Good and Alex Preppy?
The connection is this, as I said before, you follow the facts, not the story.
Hello?
And in this case, ultimately, the facts prevailed over the story. The story was what was perpetrated the first few days or promulgated the first few days. But I think the danger is getting the story ahead of the facts, because here the story was shown to be false.
Correct.
And so how is Mr. Celis Sosa, since he's been shot by ICE agents?
Well, he's not my client. I represent Mr. Aljona. But I understand all of the, in this case, Mr. Aljona, Mr. Sosa Celis, they're all back home with their families.
That's Mr. Sosa Celis. Thanks so much for being with us. Frederick Getz, criminal defense attorney who represents Alfredo Alejandro Aljona, one of the two Venezuelan men who were falsely accused of assaulting a federal immigration agent in Minneapolis in January. That does it for our show. A very happy birthday to Neil Shibata. On Monday, February 23rd, Democracy Now! Will be celebrating our 30th anniversary at the historic Riverside Church in New York. Guests will include Angela Davis, Naomi Klein, the Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Mossab Abu Toha, the Nobel Prize-winning journalist Maria Ressa, the singer and songwriter Michael Stipe, the jazz legend Wynton Marsalis, the formerly known as Eve Ensler, hooray for the Riff Raff, and so many more. Juan Gonzalez will be flying in from Chicago, joining me and Nermeen Sheikh and our whole Democracy Now! Family for the celebration. Check out democracynow.org for information and tickets. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and
awesome.
turn on notifications to make sure you never
30
miss
years.
a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our news.
I've been watching her for 20. That's why she's the first thing I start out with.
Begin this hour with developments surrounding the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to get to the latest reporting on that, and then we'll go to the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. But we reported yesterday on the letter sent to Congress on Saturday by Attorney General Pam Bondi, announcing the Justice Department has released all of those files, claiming it has fulfilled its obligations under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The letter also outlined its justification for the redactions made in the released files, explaining they were limited to victim privacy, including personally identifiable information and medical details. And it included a list of more than 300, quote, politically exposed people whose names appear in the files in varying contexts, including Donald Trump, former President Bill Clinton, and other politicians, business people, and artists. When asked about the Epstein files aboard Air Force One last night, President Trump claimed the released materials proved he had been cleared of any wrongdoing.
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know. They're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
What?
You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein. And it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in.
As for the Clintons, Hillary Clinton is accusing the Trump administration of slow walking and covering up the release of the Epstein files. In a new interview, Hillary Clinton told the BBC the White House must, quote, get the files out. She agreed that everyone asked to testify should do so, too.
I think everybody should testify who is asked to testify. I just want it to be fair. I want everybody treated the same way. That's not true for my husband and me, because other witnesses were asked to testify. They gave written statements under oath. We offered that. They want to pull us. Why do they want to pull us into this? To divert attention from President Trump.
This interview comes as both Clinton and her husband,
that's an easy W for her. Come on.
Set to appear before the House Oversight Committee at the end of this month after a planned contempt vote was shelved. Bill Clinton, several times in the files, was acquainted with Epstein, but says he cut off contact 2 decades ago. Neither Clinton has been accused of any wrongdoing, and both have denied knowledge of Epstein's offenses at the time. So, Joe, again here you have James Comer and other Republicans walking into this where this will be thrown wide open. Obviously, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton want to testify in public, so it really can be out in the open. Still working on that, but as of now, behind closed doors. But James Comer going back and picking at this scab, a thing you heard you heard President Trump say, I want to move on. I've been exonerated. I don't know that you would use that term. He hasn't been accused of wrongdoing specifically here, but he wants to move on. The president wants to move on. James Comer and other Republicans seem intent for some reason on keeping this alive.
Well, I mean, they want to keep it alive and go after a president who hasn't been in the Oval Office in a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
And they want to ignore the person who's sitting in the White House right now, who I believe has far more mentions in the Epstein files than does Bill Clinton.
Yes.
And this whole idea that, yeah, there are Democrats' names that are in here, no doubt about it. But the idea that somehow it's all Democrats and that the Trump administration has been exonerated,
I mean, that's just a joke.
Is it?
You've got, you know, the next Fed chair is in the files if he gets appointed. Voted in, confirmed. You have the Commerce Secretary lying time and time and time again about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and getting busted and still holding onto his job. And you wonder, why are they protecting all these rich and powerful men that were hanging around Jeffrey Epstein? Why are there so many connections with Jeffrey Epstein in this administration?
Are we really wondering why? Sorry? We're wondering why, he says.
It really just doesn't really make any sense, does it? Doesn't make good sense. If there was the idea of getting as far away from Jeffrey Epstein as possible, then there would have been moves they would have made. The Commerce Secretary wouldn't be there. Other people wouldn't be there. Elon Musk would have been called out. You can go down the list. And Ro Khanna is right. You really do have this Epstein class that the Trump administration is trying to protect, and they're trying to protect them actively. When you have Pam Bondi coming out lying, saying, "Oh, we've released everything," that's just a lie, and everybody knows that's a lie. But still, still no accountability for the rich and powerful that are
still no accountability.
In these files, whether you're talking about a lot of people, it seems, in Donald Trump's orbit, or you're talking about a contributor at CBS News, which again, you just talk about a joke. Keeping that guy connected with CBS News, oh my, it's unbelievable. And then you look out in Los Angeles, you have Casey Wasserman, that for some reason that Olympic committee didn't boot off after they read the level of toleration for these rich and powerful men who were close friends with Jeffrey Epstein, or talked about how much they loved them or how much they missed them when they weren't talking to them, or Ghislaine Maxwell. It really is extraordinary that here we are in 2026. I was saying this a decade ago. I don't understand. I still don't understand this conspiracy theory to cover up, especially from the very political movement that said if they got elected, they were going to reveal the truth about the Epstein files. And all we've gotten is cover up and redactions, or people that say extraordinarily grotesque things about young girls, young women, and women in general, whose names are redacted from the file. Why is the Trump administration protecting these rich and powerful men and the grotesque things that they're sending to Jeffrey Epstein? What purpose does that serve, Pam Bondi? What purpose? Why do you keep protecting rich, powerful men? Why are their names redacted, Mike? It makes no good sense. And if what Donald Trump is saying was true, well, then all those names would be redacted and all the files would come out. But they keep doing this. They could have gotten this over with 6 to 9 months ago. They keep dragging it out. They keep covering up, and they keep thinking people are going to just walk away from it. They're not, until they're all released and they stop trying to protect rich, powerful men.
You know, Joe, this story, the string on this story, when you start to pull it, is endless, and it's important, and it's all going to come out eventually. And to use the president's phrase, as Willie just pointed out last night,
eventually, he thinks
said
so,
he's been exonerated by these files being released. But he also has a law firm called the Department of Justice, which has control over all of these files. And if he wants to be completely exonerated, he would order today that all of the files be dumped out right now. It would take months to go through them, obviously, the redactions and the non-redactions. But at the core of the story is something that is never going to go away until it's fully explained. And at the core of this story is how one man who is now dead, committed suicide in jail, controlled and had access to so many powerful people across a couple of different continents.
Right.
Europe, the United States. What happened? How did it happen? How did he connect himself to all of these powerful, wealthy people who then relied on him for maybe sexual favors, maybe financial advice, or whatever? How does that happen?
So many rich, powerful men are protected right now in this. But Frank Foer, you know who's not protected? The victims, many of whom were exposed again in these files. These victims who have been fighting for justice every day for years. And again, they get re-traumatized with the release of 3 million documents, which again protects men, but doesn't protect many of them.
Right. It's morally despicable that victims are the ones who end up suffering when there is this lack, as everybody's been saying, of moral accountability or uneven moral accountability. And in the end, you know, part of the lack of moral accountability connects to kind of the broader issues that we're talking about in the Trump era, which is that what's exposed in these files isn't just the kind of the trafficking of young women, the criminal trafficking of young women. It's the self-dealing of an elite class that's trading favors in a corrupt way. And of course, corruption is not just the master narrative of our time, it's the master narrative of the Trump administration. And I believe that our kind of inability to hold people morally to account, really, for the corruption that's exposed here is very much connected to our lack of outrage and our inability to effectively deal with the kind of the world historic levels of corruption that are transpiring on a daily basis in this administration.
David Drucker, the perversion of justice in this case was perhaps best captured in that image we saw a few seconds ago of Pam Bondi refusing to acknowledge or apologize to the victims, standing behind her, wouldn't even turn around, look down at her notes, even smirked at one point. There's the story. Her job literally is to protect the victims. Instead, she appears to be anyway protecting the President of the United States. So the question to you, David, is how is this playing in the MAGA universe? Many prominent members of whom were behind pushing this for years and years and years and saying this is a foundational story for us. We want to know about this cabal, this global cabal of elites who protect each other, and some of them perhaps committing pedophilia with these young girls on Jeffrey Epstein's island, and now to have a Justice Department and an administration desperately trying to turn the page and walk away from it without a full reckoning. How is that playing among Donald Trump's supporters?
Well, look, I think the main fissure in the very beginning was the fact that the president didn't want to release the files, and you had a battle among some Republicans on Capitol Hill over whether or not to do this. I think, recall, I mean, one of the reasons we're even where we are now is because Democrats in the House of Representatives realized, for all sorts of reasons, that it was a good idea for them to join forces with the few Republicans that sort of hail from Trump's MAGA base, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few others, and join forces to push to get these files out. The administration desperately tried to keep them from being released. Speaker Mike Johnson tried to keep them from being released. When they realized the dam was about to break, everybody gets on board. And of course, they're acting like this was the plan all along.
Right.
So I think, I think the real question is, with the files released, I think a lot of the air has been let out of the balloon in terms of the pressure from the president's base to deal with this. I think the question now is, and we don't know, Willie, is what I'm getting at, is, over time, is that corner of the right, the populist right, going to now be as sort of pushy, if you will, for people to go through these files with a fine-tooth comb and to redact and to unredact a lot of the information that has been hidden. Because an issue like this just doesn't die, right? It just doesn't go away. And with the Clintons about to testify, particularly a former president, if this happens, it's going to set the precedent for other former presidents to testify. And 3 years from now, Donald Trump is going to be a former president, constitutionally barred from running for re-election, and cannot sort of hide behind the "I'm a candidate, they're trying to derail my campaign." And if House Democrats have anything to say about it, or Senate Democrats for that matter, they're going to ask him to come to Capitol Hill and testify. So I just think this is going to be an ongoing story, and it's hard to know, all of the twists and turns.
Welcome back. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Tuesday, February 17th. It is just before 8 a.m. on the button on the East Coast. President Trump on Air Force One last night, blaming Democrats for the partial government shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, now entering day 4.
This is a Democrat shutdown. This has nothing to do with the Republicans. This is a Democrat shutdown. They're upset that the crime numbers are so good. They're very unhappy that the crime numbers are so good. They're very unhappy that there's a movement for getting voter ID.
This comes as Democrats send a counter-proposal to the White House and GOP leaders to get operations open again. So far, no deal. The partial shutdown affecting the TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, and the Secret Service. TSA officials working without pay, sparking concerns about staffing shortages and possible travel disruptions, similar to what we saw during last year's record 43-day shutdown. Joining me now is Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Senator, it's great to have you this morning. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me in.
And I know that the House and Senate are on recess until next Monday. What is the plan do you expect once you're back in session? How long can this shutdown for DHS go on?
I sure hope that we can, but for me, I was the only Democrat that voted to refuse to shutting the government down. And I reminded even the director of ICE in a hearing just on Thursday that this shutdown would not impact the functionality of ICE, that they have plenty of money after the big, beautiful bill. So why shut this down? You can want to reform ICE, and I do, but that's not going to have the impact. But you're willing to shut down all of those very important parts of DHS that you just listed there. That's always wrong. And now why? Here we are, and I'm not sure how we're going to come back online.
You know, it's interesting because one wrinkle could be what President Trump says in his State of the Union address, right? I mean, it's unbelievable to me that the last time in 2019 we saw a previous government shutdown and President Trump was forced to delay that State of the Union because of this. The Democrats, some of your colleagues, are threatening that they're not even going to show up for the State of the Union. Will you be there?
Well, I'm saying it's fundamentally wrong to shut our government down. And if you want to reform ICE, as the Democrats, we do want some ones, but that is not going to do that. And now why you're doing it, for me, it's always about country over party. And that's why I'll refuse to vote to shut the government down. And now with the the State of the Union, well, and I do expect to attend that, and I do hope there's not the same kinds of thing last year with the paddles and that kinds of disruptions. You can disagree or agree on things, but you don't have to turn it into like a spectacle like that.
I totally agree. And, you know, Senator, that's where I think most people are. You might lean to the right on certain things and lean to the left on other things, but people don't want to see this kind of pettiness, certainly from our elected leaders. Meanwhile, the House passed the SAVE Act, as you know, 218 to 213 in the House. The bill now moves to the Senate.
Democrats are vowing to block it with the filibuster. You've been very clear. You have no problem with the voter ID. But Maine Senator Susan Collins reversed her position, and now it looks like the Republicans have 51 votes, and they're talking about this so-called talking filibuster. Sir, and I want to get your take on what this means. The president obviously is urging Senate Majority Leader John Thune to scrap the filibuster altogether and pass the legislation with a simple majority. But it sounds like the Republicans want the Democrats on record to have this quote-unquote talking filibuster so that the public understands who is not for having an ID to vote and who is. I spoke with Senator Bill Hagerty, as well as Representative Anna Paulina Luna on this issue over the weekend. Here's what they said. Watch.
When we're looking at the talking filibuster, it's something that has not been used in a long, long time. It's a complicated process, but I think we're going to look at every way we possibly can to get this to the floor, to defeat the Democrats' obstructionism, and do something that makes common sense for Americans. We've gone through it as a conference, and now that we have Susan on board, I think we're going to be laser focused on this and any other method that we can utilize to get this onto the floor, because this is obviously something the American people want. I think what we'll have, if we actually implement it, is a higher turnout at elections, because people will have more confidence that the election of their vote.
No, this is the opposite of what he's saying, chat. Yeah, he's the complete opposite of what he's saying. The idea is to not have people vote.
Is going to be sacred. It's going to be safe, and we're going to have voter integrity.
I would actually argue that this is probably the #1 thing, especially moving into the midterms. Many senators have said, well, if we do this, the Democrats are going to do this when they regain power. But the fact is, Maria, is that the Senate Democrats have made it very clear that they want mass amnesty. They want mass naturalization of illegals. And frankly, I think they're going to do it anyways. And so the only way to really secure our country for future generations is to ensure that Americans have faith in the voting process, and that if their senators work against their interests, that they can vote them out at the ballot box. And that's exactly what this will do.
Senator, you've been very practical on this issue, I know that. But do you think that's what it's about? Your colleagues in the Democrat Party want illegals to vote? Is that why they're so against it?
Well, there's a lot to unpack in this about the SAVE Act. Now, it's not being a serious conversation because right now there's not a Democratic co-sponsor for that. And that's why, because that's necessary because of the filibuster. And that's also part of history to unpack. We, as all the Democrats, we
like to unpack your head, sir. I mean, on the good side, it looks like you're losing weight and you might live a little longer, you know. Great. But you're a traitor to the leftist agenda, sir. All I ever see you on is Fox fucking News, dude. Constantly on Fox News.
We wanted to eliminate the filibuster. We called to eliminate the filibuster, and now we find ourselves that we love it now. And that reminds people that the filibuster is important about bringing on the other parts of to have a conversation. And now for me,
bring on the other parts to have a conversation. Yeah, there's certain parts.
Democrats. But for me,
there's parts that are problematic, and there's parts that aren't. You know, the parts that are not problematic for me are, you know, supporting genocide and the killing of babies in Israel. That's what Fetterman just said. Just so you guys know.
The Democrat, just fundamentally at the end of the day, showing basic ID to vote is a very reasonable idea. And I think 84% of Americans in the last polling from Pew supports that. And Wisconsin, a very, very purple state, just less than a year ago, they put that in their constitution, and that was passed nearly by 2 to 1 margin too. Yeah, so that's if it could just come down to where just showing a state ID, you know, any state ID.
No,
you know,
it doesn't come down to that, brother.
Make it more difficult for Democrats to defend.
No. Why? What are we trying? What are we trying to stop? What are we trying to stop? I don't understand. There's no fraud.
Defend just basic kinds of ID.
So what's in there that's beyond there that's so problematic? In other words, if you had a clean bill just showing your ID to vote, you would support that legislation.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm a Democrat that's not going to freak out. You know, the world didn't end what happened in Wisconsin. And now in Georgia, for example, Georgia, which I think skews red, I think we'd agree. And after the law, they elected 2 Democrat senators too. So for me, that's kind of where we're at. So there's a lot to impact on that.
Yeah, you got to unpack that. Yeah, I can't unpack it in my head, though.
Order to get the SAVE Act across the line. Is that possible, Senator? Or, because, I mean, you're the only Democrat in the Senate who said, yes, you understand voter ID and you're comfortable with it. Is there any way do you see anybody else in your party that in the Senate that you think could support that along with yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak for anyone, but what I can say, what I've seen, you know, if it's just a state ID and states provide
just keep
free
saying
ones,
that.
I think everybody should have ID, honestly. That allows people to have more chance to participate in our society, whether joining for your library or renting a car or doing all kinds of things. What that excludes for a lot of Americans if they don't have just a basic state ID.
Yeah.
So, and the vast majority of Americans have no problem with that. And, you know, then there's kinds of examples, you know, whether it's Wisconsin or Georgia, that hasn't really seemed to be like the end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to move on and talk about Iran. Your voice has been so important here in terms of support for Israel. And, of course, the president just met with Netanyahu again. U.S. and Iran officials held another round of nuclear talks in Geneva today. I believe the talks at this point have ended this morning. As military tensions continue to rise between the two nations, Iranian naval forces, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, conducted military drills in the Strait of Hormuz Monday, and special envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are leading these negotiations. I want to get your take on this because in the middle of all of these talks, Senator, it looks like Khomeini is mocking the United States again. First, here's the president on his role in all of this. Watch.
I'll be...
Someone gave me a soundboard. It's not good.
Involved in those talks indirectly, and they'll be very important. We'll see what can happen. But typically, Iran's a very tough negotiator. They're good negotiators or bad negotiators. I would say they're bad negotiators because we could have had a deal instead of sending the B-2s in to knock out their nuclear potential, and we had to send the B-2s. I hope they're going to be more reasonable. I think they want to make a deal. I don't think they want the consequences of not making a deal.
Senator, if this group can't even, you know, sort of hold back on their hostilities against the United States during the talks, what should we expect? Because here are Khomeini's tweets. The U.S. president has said that for 47 years, the United States has not been able to eliminate the Islamic Republic. That's a good confession, I say. You, too, will not be able to do this. Then he goes on to say, the Americans constantly say that they've sent a warship toward Iran. A warship is a dangerous piece of military hardware. However, more dangerous than that warship is the weapon that can send that warship to the bottom of the sea. So now they're threatening us on their nuclear capabilities, I guess.
Normal bluster, what you expect if you were gonna fucking do this kind of shit. Hello?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's laughable. I mean, I think it took Israel exactly about 2 days to achieve new air supremacy, and they were begging for a ceasefire about that war last year. And now, absolutely, I supported the B-2s bombing their nuclear facilities well too. We can never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb. Absolutely not. And I was the only Democrat to support striking those facilities, and I will be probably the only Democrat again. Now,
you're not a Democrat, you piece of shit.
That's why it's entirely important to make sure that Iran never acquires that nuclear bomb. So I don't think you can trust Iran right now. And they are so desperate now, they were executing thousands.
I think it's elder abuse keeping him in Congress. You heard it here first, folks. You fucking heard it here first.
Thousands and thousands of their young citizens
Elder
just
abuse.
wanting for rights and democracy too. So I think they're teetering,
Elder
and I think they're scared.
abuse.
And that's why they put out that laughable tweet just recently.
They're not
because
scared.
they know that they're scared, and they realize that we mean business, and now
No.
we can strike and hit their nuclear facilities again because we have the
that's really someone that's
we have
scared.
the ability to do exactly that.
Well, I mean, it's
On the back end, he's got Dumb and Dumber over there negotiating for, so there's bluster going on the front end, and then there's negotiations going on the back end by Dumb and Dumber.
literally a threat. I mean, the other tweet from Khomeini says the U.S. president keeps saying that they have the strongest military force in the world. The strongest military force in the world may at times be struck so hard that it cannot get up again.
Yeah, I mean, it's laughable.
Yeah.
I mean, Israel just wrecked them, absolutely wrecked them into submission just last year. And now here we are now. It's like they do not have the capabilities to talk that tough. They can't back it up. And now I hope that there's a peaceful kinds of outcome, but I don't think that's going to happen because the only thing that they respect and respond to is force, just exactly what we used about destroying.
Using the age-old, they all respond to force. That's it. They only respond to that.
Parts of their nuclear facilities, and I'll be the Democrat to stand with Israel through that for peace in the region. And now let's call Iran what they are, and they need to be taken out of the business of acquiring a nuclear bomb.
So the president has put sanctions and tried to use diplomacy in this situation since that, taking out the nuclear facilities. But now the president wants the ballistic missiles taken out, and he wants the Iranians to stop supporting these terrorist proxies. You say, look, the world knows Iran's never going to honor any of this and any treaty. So why are we negotiating? What are we negotiating?
Yeah, I agree. I've said that on Twitter just a couple days ago. It's like, why? I mean, to me, it's a waste of time. They only respond by force and strength, and I fully support that. And another thing we want to remind people, if China didn't buy the vast majority of all their oil, that absolutely would have broken that regime. China is willing to support this regime, and they continue to provide the revenue that backs up their regime. So here we are. We can't ever allow these kinds of nuclear ambitions, and now all these other missiles technology too. I will support those kind of strikes, and if we do bring up another Iranian war powers, I will vote no against that too.
Well, you raise a really important point in terms of China, because China acts like a friend to the United States, but then is complicit on every level, undermining the United States. What do you want to see out of this upcoming meeting between the president and Xi Jinping in April? Because I know that there are plenty of Chinese companies that trade on our exchanges. And, I mean, aren't we in many ways just funding the expansion of our...
Wait. I got to make sure you guys are hearing this. Yep.
Number one adversary here? Are there other things to be doing to get tough with China so that they're not bullying the world like they are right now with their critical minerals?
They're bullying the world with their critical minerals. Those critical minerals, they're bullying me with the critical minerals. The critical minerals, they're bullying me. China. The fuck?
Absolutely. I mean...
Yeah, I agree. I'm a dumb fuck. You fucking loser. God, just shave the rest of your beard.
An ally. They're not
you don't
even,
need it.
I'm not sure they're even a frenemy. So for me...
A frenemy?
Confront them. Why do you buy all of the
Iranian
oil and that props up a poisonous regime and a destabilizing force in the region? Why don't you want peace in the Middle East? Why would you want to support that? Because they back the kinds of proxies that, the Hamas and
226.
Hezbollah. Why? So I think that's entirely appropriate if the president confronts them and demands that they must stop this kinds of destabilizing force. And it's actually evil standing with a regime like Iran.
Yeah, and you've tweeted about a lot of this as well.
It's so evil standing with Iran. Bitch.
And I want to get your take on sort of the response that you get from your colleagues, because you look at all of these issues in such a practical way, which is why you've got so many fans and so many supporters of moderates and Republicans as well. Senator, you've said to me in the past that there's rot within the Democratic Party when it comes to anti-Israel rhetoric among some members. I mean, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently suggested that the U.S. should consider reevaluating military aid to Israel. I mean, it was stunning. Tell us more.
No, I agree. You know, I've consistently, that's part of the rot in the Democratic Party. You know, why? If you have to pick a side, why would you pick the side or defend Hamas or defend Iran in a way? For me, stand with Israel.
Yeah, stand with Israel.
Any kinds of restrictions on aid, whether it's military, financial, or intelligence, there ever going to be any restrictions on that.
He's the bitch.
And now for here we are, we can have peace. Again, that's become part of the serious problem in our party.
So are the Democrats standing in the way? Extremists like AOC, are they
anti-Israel rot in the Democratic Party? Bro, this guy needs to be primaried so quickly. Holy shit.
Standing in the way of peace in the Middle East then?
Well, I'm saying I refuse to pander to the part of my Democratic Party that finds that there's value in being anti-Israel. And that's effectively, they use the word anti-Zionism. I mean, effectively, what that's really become on college campuses and places is just anti-Semitism. You know, we have a problem here in our party, and I'm going to stand against that and always unapologetic supporter for Israel.
And I think all of this will be in the President's State of the Union address coming up in 1 week's time. And, of course, then
he just said, Israel, send me those checks.
Midterm elections. You've predicted that the
Yep, he just said, Israel, send me those checks twice.
Democrats could regain control of the House and narrow an already very thin, razor-thin lead in the House, in the majority in the Senate. Why is that? Do you not think that some of these issues are resonating with people?
Well, what I do think, I mean, you don't have to be an expert for anything. I mean, as you point out, that's the margin is very close, and there's always, history always tells us there's a backlash against the party in power. There's always going to be some kind of a backlash. So I think most people would have assumed that the House is going to flip. Now, here in the Senate, that's a little more difficult. And now you have other races in the play. For me, like for Texas, for example, Cornyn is a reasonable Republican, and now that would be money in the bank. But now I don't know why politically, I'm not sure why the Republicans and the president wouldn't sit on that and just lock down Texas. But for me, there's other states that are in flux. So that's why I'm saying,
wow, sure, dude.
You know, focus on things, focus on securing our border and deporting all the criminals and stop all the kinds of tragedies in Minneapolis, and focus on other things that traditionally the Republicans are stronger on, like the economy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because I think most people agree that we need to get the criminals out of America, and they don't want to see this kind of crime and chaos. But, of course, the FBI is reporting now that crime numbers are down sharply across the country. Senator, walk us through what you think are the most important priorities for American citizens today going into the midterm elections.
Well, what I think, Americans are constantly responding to affordability, and that's a real issue for many people now. But I don't think that the economy's in the kinds of, and it's not really in the kinds of condition the way the extreme rhetoric would describe it, similar like it was back in 2024. I think the economy is much stronger and more resilient for that. So for me, I would focus on the things that don't really get anybody any upside for that, and focus that. Now, thankfully, inflation actually was below the kinds of expectation, and the stock market is up now. I think hit 50,000 now. So for me, focus on those kinds of affordability things. Now, that's, I think, the vast majority Americans want, and less chaos, and a lot of the kinds of other chaos, and that's why that's the dynamic that we have here in 2026.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I looked at the numbers the other day. We had almost 5% growth in the fourth quarter. We had an inflation number the other day that was lower than expectations, and we had jobs created that were better than expected.
Really?
But still, you see your colleagues like Chuck Schumer and others saying that the economy is so bad. I mean, do you think that people understand what's really going on, even though you've got all this politicking underway?
All I'm saying, like, when I'm going to just provide like an honest assessment, you know, the economy was much stronger back in 24 during that, and now I'm going to say that here in 26 now too. Remember, America was obsessed with eggs, the price. And, I do most of the shopping here in my family, and I buy, you know, a dozen for $2. I mean, I think that's incredibly affordable.
Yeah.
So there's other things now too. So I'm not going to respond to the history on either side.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, hey, here's what I think where we actually are, and be very fair about this.
I'm sad that I even gave this guy this much time. Hold on, I got something for us. Maybe.
Inflation, core inflation. Is it
Hello?
Real GDP is, it's, you know.
Hello? What's happening, dude? I don't understand. The rare moments where shit just doesn't work, you know?
Huh?
That's right. You never know. Stand by, folks. Okay, wait. So if there's one open, you can't open another one. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, never mind, it's gone. The vidya is gone. All right, we're going to the next video then, because I can't stand this guy.
In focus now, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan. So you probably heard my
last
another
comment to him, and
welcome to the program, Chairman. It's unbelievable. You have that much in fraud, but you want to put good money behind bad, basically.
Yeah.
Another loser.
Yeah, keep saying it more so we can
Jim
steal
Jeffries.
more of it, for goodness sake. Yeah, you know there was fraud. They knew there was fraud because whistleblowers came forward, and they just ignored it. And in fact, it looks like they retaliated against them. And in many ways, I think they actually assisted the fraud. It wasn't just like we're going to look the other way. They actually assisted the fraud because we know the Attorney General up there, Mr. Ellison, met with the people who were in charge of this Feeding Our Future program that stuck a bunch of money in their pockets and never gave any meals to kids. He met with them, and then he got political contributions, and then the money kept flowing, of course, to this organization. So, and the other reason you know this is real and they knew about it, Tim Walz isn't running for re-election. If it was Republicans' fault, if it wasn't really his fault, if they didn't know about this, if there hadn't been whistleblowers come forward, you know he would be running for re-election, but he's not because this thing is real. And finally, here's the good news. The Justice Department has named an Assistant Attorney General to combat fraud, Colin McDonald. So they are specifically putting in place someone who's going to have staff and go after this across the country because it is truly billions of dollars of American taxpayer money.
Look, talk to me about the future. And I'm not talking about the future of Feeding Our Future, but there are people in all of this who got caught up who also got hurt.
Yeah, we had a lady testify in front of our committee who actually ran one of these autism centers and was legit. And because this, all the money was going to fraudsters who were just sticking it in their pocket, not actually helping any kids. She got hurt. Her business got hurt, and she brought her son, who actually has autism. She brought him to the hearing as well. So that's the ramifications of this when you don't deal with it, when you don't listen to the whistleblowers who know. They're seeing this. Something's not making sense. So got all this money going out, not making sense. They go tell the authorities, and the authorities go, oh, I'm just going to meet with them, and for political reasons, we're not going to do anything, and we're going to keep the money flowing. That's what it looks like happened up there. And that's why it's important we have this individual and this focus at the Justice Department to dig into it.
We're going to move on quickly to sanctuary cities, but I have one more question on this. What you're describing would be a crime. But we're not hearing about people, getting arrested in all of this. So you're building the case. Next step.
Yeah, I think so. And understand, there have already been like 60-some people indicted. Some have already been charged and convicted, are in jail waiting for their sentence. So I know there's like a few folks with that Feeding Our Future program and some others who are in that situation. So it is happening, but we need more focus. And I think, as the speaker mentioned, it needs to be a focus nationwide. Where is this also happening? Not just in Minneapolis, but where else is this going on?
Well, and if any of that money went to ISIS, Al-Shabaab, and we know that the chokehold that they had on some of the young people who had, whose families had migrated here years ago from Somalia, we remember those cases of those young men who had tried to join ISIS and were radicalized. So that money, it's a big job. All right, let's get to sanctuary city leaders and how they are finding more and more ways now to try to keep the federal government from enforcing our nation's immigration laws. Democrat-led places like Portland, Oregon, now weighing a bill that would let police pull over federal agents. Other sanctuary cities from California to Massachusetts want to ban immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol using public property for enforcement. And New York City's far-left mayor, Zoran Mamdani, just ordered an audit of the city's agencies like the NYPD. He wants to be sure they are not assisting federal immigration agents. The White House with this response, quote, anyone pointing the finger at law enforcement officers instead of the criminals is simply doing the bidding of the criminal illegal aliens. And border czar Tom Homan says Democrat-led cities should not make the mistakes Minneapolis made because ICE will be there.
I said from day one that we need to flood the zone in sanctuary cities with additional agents. The number of agents depend on the situation on the ground, how many known criminal targets are out there, because we know we have a problem with sanctuary cities, because we know they're releasing public safety threats in the public.
Chairman Jordan, it sounds like he's just getting started.
Yeah, and what happens in these sanctuary jurisdictions is just so ridiculous. I mean, here you have in these areas, because some left-wing politicians tell local law enforcement, don't work with federal law enforcement, even when federal law enforcement will send a notice to the jail, to the detention center saying, we know so-and-so is in there and charged with the crime. That individual's here in this country illegally. He's supposed to be removed. Will you let us know if you're going to release him so that we can come pick him up? And they say, we're not going to let you know. And literally almost one-third of the country, 31% of the country live in a sanctuary jurisdictions where that is going on. And we know for certain that bad guys have been let out and then done crimes. So we're passing legislation out of our committee next week to address this situation and say, look, you're going to lose money if you're going to operate as a sanctuary jurisdiction. If you're going to do what Portland's doing and some of these other cities are doing. We know in New York alone, 7,000 times in 2025, they let out someone who was in the country illegally, had a final order of removal, and had been charged with some crime in the jail. They let him out so that ICE has to go get him on the street when they could have come to the jail, one agent, and got the guy. We know of a situation in Denver where they let the guy out and an agent was harmed. Well, 6 agents go out to get him and he attacks one of the agents when they could have had no attack and got him in the jail. This is so stupid, but this is what left-wing craziness will result in. 7,000 times in New York, 460 times last year in Minneapolis, over 17,000 that we know of around the country where that has happened, where someone's been released who could have been turned over with one agent at the jail, at the detention center, and not put out on the streets and jeopardize the safety of the public, the law enforcement, and frankly, the migrant.
Well, and when you say the public, we know that. I mean, it's so true. You just want to go to work, and I've lived in Minneapolis, and I've been saying this for weeks. They just want to live their lives, no matter what their politics may be. They didn't sign up for the locals not following the federal laws, or maybe some of them did. I wrote down what you said. 31% of people in the country live in sanctuary jurisdictions. That's a lot. Chairman, great to have you always.
18 cities, 11. I was just going to say 18 cities, 11 states, 3 counties in the District of Columbia. That's the population. It's a huge, almost again, a third of the country.
I love all your facts. Thank you very much. You educate us along the way,
Thank
too.
you.
Good to see you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right, our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the Rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is, or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, we are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, you know, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
What are the tools that these tech companies are developing for the government that they are using to help them in this Stephen Miller wet dream of a fantasy?
Yeah, so it started last year when they got this leak, and I looked through procurement records, and it said that Palantir was working on complete analysis of target populations, a fantastically obscure term that says a lot.
What the does that mean?
And also says nothing at the same time, obviously. So we continue reporting and it's clear they're working on something. And to be clear, Palantir has worked with HSI, the investigations arm of ICE that, investigates cybercrime, child abuse, money laundering. They've done that for years. But now, in Trump 2, they've pivoted to explicitly enforcement, immigration enforcement. So that we report that. And then we don't really know much until recently I got another leak of a user guide from ICE explaining something called ELITE. And that's another acronym, which I can't even remember what it stands for because it's also really complicated. It doesn't really say anything. But basically, I found that was being worked on by Palantir by looking around the net. And it provides this map interface where ICE can draw a circle on a map, then brings up a list or little points of all of the potential targets there. Again, I'm using the word targets. You then click on one. It brings up their name, a photo.
Where are they getting that? What defines a potential target? Is it a Spanish-sounding name? Is it a social security number? What data are they using to define these targets?
So with the tool, ICE is able to sort of arbitrarily choose that. They can get a sort of message from headquarters or senior leadership to, we want to target this sort of population. Now, the leak I got doesn't say Somalis. It doesn't say that's what, but it just lays out how to use it.
No, but the government made that pretty explicit.
Yes, yeah. I think people can draw the line. But you then zoom in on the map, you click on a person, name, date of birth, photo if they have it, and most importantly for ICE, addresses and an address confidence score. So 88 out of 100, 99 out of 100 is this person's address. And that's so important because if you remember when there was all the Doge stuff of all of this breaking down of the walls between different agencies. There is clearly data sharing going on where the guide I got
ties back to Doge?
Potentially. All I'll say that the guide says some of the addresses at least come from the Department of Health and Human Services, which I don't think people expect when they give their address to the Department of Health. It's going to end up in the hands of ICE or into this Palantir worked on tool that ICE is also using. So as I'm covering it as a journalist, as other people are as well, it does feel like we're all sort of doing one big jigsaw puzzle, but we're all coming at with different corner pieces and that sort of thing.
It's a weaponized Cambridge Analytica scheme.
Secretary of Homeland Security has publicly suggested that this woman was engaged in domestic terrorism, that she was a terrorist, even before there's any real investigation. What does that say to you?
That says that they have created a new definition of domestic terrorism, which is the definition that they are applying. And, you know, there's a real skew between sides in this. There have been 13 shootings involving agents involved in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown since it started some time ago. 5 of those involve people who were trying to get out of car stops like this. 3 of those involve people who were filming or documenting or impeding or harassing agents. So this is not an isolated shooting. But what they've now defined is that people who are protesting, following, blowing whistles, impeding, are affecting these efforts, and therefore they are domestic terrorists. That's what everybody else calls protesters. So if that is the new definition, that's something new.
ICE partnered with Alex Karp and Peter Thiel's company Palantir to use AI and data mining to identify, track, and deport suspected non-citizens. ICE is paying Palantir $30 million for the platform. Ken Klippenstein in The Intercept are reporting that Trump's DOJ is now assembling a secret database of alleged domestic terrorists. And this is a terrifying escalation of the already well-reported on National Security Memorandum 7 directives. Democrats, who are pushing for body cameras for ICE agents, could very well be unintentionally speeding up the process of collecting data on people this administration deems to be dissidents. And the two parties are clearly not playing the same game. Palantir went public back in 2020, having already secured government contracts during the Obama administration, and multiple lawmakers from both parties hold significant personal financial investments in the company. So it's not exactly hard to see why Democrats might be reluctant to abolish ICE when they, like Republicans, have a vested personal interest in stocks and lobbying money from surveillance tech companies as well as private prisons. Democratic Representative Henry Cuellar, who consistently votes to fully fund ICE,
What's with the background music, Joel's?
Received campaign contributions
What's
from
with the background
GEO Group,
music, man?
one of the 2 largest ICE detention center providers. Representative Sanford Bishop received campaign contributions from Core Civic, the other detention center provider. Both were part of the group of 21 Democrats who voted to avoid a shutdown by voting to fully fund ICE, at least temporarily. We are fighting fires in so many places that it's honestly hard to keep track, but one thing is abundantly clear. We have to get money out of politics. Citizens United has been an absolute disaster for transparency, accountability, and democracy. If the Epstein files teach us anything, it should be that billionaires are disgusting and can't be trusted. If given the opportunity, they will do absolutely anything to protect themselves, protect their profits, and skirt accountability. Political parties and individuals shouldn't even have the option to get in bed with them.
We got videos, baby.
All right, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are not meeting this moment. I could get on here 17 times a day and run a story about Trump's failures, Trump's lawlessness, the people in his administration, drama, toxicity, law breaking, unprofessionalism. We could do it all day and never
long.
stop. And it's going to get worse. But when you're looking at a fascist takeover, when you're looking at the dismantling of a 250-year-old democracy, you have to look at all of the collaborators. That's important. You can't just focus on one side because this is not possible where Trump is without the Supreme Court. And what's continuing to happen right now is not possible without minority support as well. And that's why I focus a lot on Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. And I saw some just stunning video on Joy Reid's show, and I'm going to use their content. So please make sure you go like and subscribe to Joy Reid's show. And this is her and Wajahat Ali. Also like and subscribe to him. Great independent journalists here interviewing Hakeem Jeffries. And the answers to these questions are just utterly stunning. Play the clip.
Leaders lead. And what we've seen is people are impressionable. If you lead on something, people will follow. It seems the wind is behind your back for the first time ever. ICE has a history. CPP has a history of terrorizing Black and brown communities.
Correct.
People are asking themselves, why are we, our taxpayer dollars, paying for masked, lawless men to terrorize our communities, kidnap people, take children, and kill Americans? So I ask you, and I'm doing following up to Joy, because I want an answer to this. You said you want to rein in ICE. I'm talking about the long term now. Why not lead and say abolish ICE? Because what you're telling us is you want our taxpayer dollars to pay for a lawless masked armed agency to continue terrorizing our cities.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how you, as a leader, can be telling Americans that their taxpayer dollars should be going to us.
Fuck you, Hakeem.
I don't understand anything that you just said. When I spoke English. When I don't
What did he just fucking say?
understand anything that you've just said to me when I've made clear that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them. That's the whole reason we're in this fight right now.
What?
That's the whole reason the DHS is getting ready to shut down. That's
So
the whole
abolish
reason
ICE.
why
You agree with me, Joy. Abolish ICE.
That is listen. I'm going to use the language that I want to use. You can use the language that you want to use. And the language that I'm using right now relates to these type of bold, meaningful, dramatic changes that are designed to save lives right now in communities that look like the ones that I represent.
Sure, dude.
And that's the goal.
So let me ask you this. Yeah. And I hear what you're
holding
saying.
every single Democrat together in the House and in the Senate is what we're trying to do to give us the best shot to win this fight right
Waj said
now
what he said.
while we're in
the chatter.
the minority.
Okay. It's really stunning, his answer and how ill prepared he is in the confrontation with facts, the facts on the ground, and how the American people feel. And shout out to Wajahat Ali. It was an excellent question. And how defensive he got. And you can use whatever words you want. I'm going to use my words. Reminded me of when I interviewed Cory Booker. And I asked him, is Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal? And he couldn't answer it. Yes or no. And here you have Hakeem Jeffries, who wants to be the Speaker of the House, who has large support, even from the Progressive Caucus. The progressives don't even break away with him.
I know.
And
they really just can't, though.
Such a decisive moment in history.
Let me use the language I use.
There's no joy that I get in seeing the Democratic minority leader faceplant like that. It is so devastating to this moment in history.
I don't understand what you're expecting, Jen. This should not surprise you either.
And when
Jen, this should not surprise you.
And you see that people view Democrats as weak and Democrats are feckless. And you have heard Donald Trump say in interviews, he says stuff like, yeah, we thought we were going to get a lot more resistance than this. I mean, they're just, we're just doing whatever we want. And then you find out that Hakeem Jeffries takes the same money from the same corporations that Donald Trump does.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense.
Of course.
Okay, I'm sitting here and it enrages me the way he said, I don't even know what you're saying. Here's my thought on this.
I don't understand a word you just said. He's what he said.
I know that the Trump administration says we're getting rid of the criminals and all this crap. I know that less than 20% of the people that they're arresting and detaining are criminals. I know that they are breaking the law, ignoring court orders to the tune of thousands of court orders. So if I know that in Oklahoma City, I would think that the leadership in the Democratic Party knows that. I would think they know it doesn't matter what they say. It's what they do.
Correct.
And so for Leader Jeffries, I would just say your words
I don't understand, though.
need to be backed up by your actions. You say that, you want to do all this and rein it in and all that shit. What you need to do is tear it down to the studs, because they're not going to listen or change with any of the regulations or different training that you give them.
Yeah.
And if
she's
I
right
know
about
it,
that.
why don't you? That's what I just want to scream.
He does know it. He does know it. That's the problem. He knows it. They all know it. They have the same corporate donors. So how on earth can we expect him to fight for the American people when he fights harder for his lobbyists and his PAC donors? He knows exactly what they're doing. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing. Most of all, the MAGA people know. Nobody is deluded that this isn't what it is. Most of which these leaders in the Democratic Party, which brings me to his corporate donors. They go in, Joy and Wajahat, and ask him about AIPAC. Watch this.
Oh, well, I do have one question about accountability. And, I'll put my cards on the table. I'm against fascists and MAGA and Donald Trump, and I want Democrats to win, but I want the right Democrats to win. And I remember the YouGov poll that came out after the 2024 election said the main reason why Democrats stayed at home was their displeasure with the genocide that's happening in Gaza. And what we've seen is AIPAC. AIPAC now has spent $2 million attacking a moderate-leaning Democrat, Tom Malinowski, a Democrat, in the special House election in New Jersey, 11th District. And we got a progressive Latina, Representative Mejia, who won, who, by the way, says abolish ICE. My question for you, if you're looking for accountability, if you're looking for change, shouldn't Democrats stop taking money from AIPAC that has spent so much money against Democrats?
Well, listen, everyone's going to have to make their individual decision. My view as it relates to Democratic incumbents, first of all, is that I will continue to stand by every single one of them, whether that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the one hand, or the most conservative, moderate Democrat on the other, who's sitting in the Trump district and at all points in between, right? That's what I'm going to do as House Democratic leader. Now, in terms of how people individually fundraise, I'm proud of the fact that my average contribution amongst the millions of dollars that I've been
the question,
working hard to raise for my own reelection that I use to help elect Democrats in other parts of the country is $27 per contributor. That's my average contribution. That's probably the lowest in the Congress. And so now everyone is going to raise money from their own constituents in different ways, and their own constituents are going to have a variety of different perspectives on a variety of different issues. But make no mistake, there's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans, and we're seeing that right now. I know some people like to project otherwise. How one can see the horrors of what has been inflicted on the American people.
The only reason these fucks ever were elected in the first place is because they just know how to say shit without saying shit. And we're done with these fucks, okay? Get this guy out of Congress. He can't be fucking leader. He cannot be a leader. This will not work, chat. This won't work. He needs to go.
Since January 20th of last year, and conclude otherwise, or want to try to suggest that there's no difference in one's quality of life. When I go to Bedford-Stuyvesant or Brownsville or East New York or Canarsie or the West End of Coney Island, people know that their life is being made markedly worse because of who's in office right now, both in the White House and the House.
Well, Representative, respectfully,
and we're determined to do something about
just
that.
Just a quick follow-up. So that means, will you stop taking money from AIPAC?
I'm going to continue to raise money in the same way that I've been raising it, where the average contribution from millions of people across the country is $27 per contributor.
Okay. In both of these instances, he cannot answer the question in a very plain spoken way. He cannot say, you know what?
Exactly.
Everything that you just said, Wajahat.
He just fucking filibustered the whole interview. It's basically what he did. And said 5 talking points.
is 100% true. And I don't know that we can abolish ICE right now. I don't know that we can do that. So here's what we're trying to do. And we're looking at all
we can't
options
do
because I
that.
agree it needs to be abolished. But I don't have the majority. He
Didn't
doesn't
even say
speak that
that.
way. In the instance of AIPAC, he has to filibuster and talk about his, I'm $27, blah, blah, blah.
She used the
bottom
same
line
word.
is, how can Hakeem Jeffries, he just said he's going to continue to raise money the way he always has, which means he's going to take more AIPAC money. How can we trust Hakeem Jeffries when the people who spent $200 million to get Donald Trump elected also own Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer? And they seem to prioritize Israeli safety over American safety. And one thing that the minority leader said that I do agree with is that Republican governments rain more hellfire on their population than Democrats do. That is true. I lived in a red state. I saw it firsthand. I see what Republican supermajorities do. That sentence in there is true. But what is also true is that when the Democrats govern incrementally and service their corporations and their corporate donors and their lobbyists more and prioritize that over they do the people, the working class people get left behind, and it incubates the political soil for a demagogue to come in, lie to them, and here we are in full-blown fascism.
Listener, the thing about getting sick is it's not always between 8. You can find someone you love.
Just how plain Spain is play. And I want to play this last video. Here's Graham Plattner. He is Senate candidate in Maine. And here he is on the New Yorker podcast. And listen to just how plain spoken and excellent his answer is to David Remnick's question. Play the clip.
The Democratic Party today's biggest problem is that there is an element of it that has become as attached to corporate interests as the Republican Party is. And by the way, this isn't just like my opinion. I mean, everybody thinks this. Everybody, when you hear people say things like, I don't vote because it doesn't matter. Both sides are the same, all that kind of stuff. And I don't agree with that. I mean, there's a reason I'm running as a Democrat. There's a reason I'm running. If I thought that none of this, if there was no hope, I wouldn't do this. I have an immense amount of hope. However, I do think that there is an innate contradiction in trying to be a party that represents working people, representing those that struggle, those that labor, those that are often exploited or taken advantage of. It is impossible to represent their interests while also trying to represent the interests of those that exploit them.
It's perfect. What he said is perfect.
That's actually really good.
How can we expect these politicians to protect the people when the people, one single donor might not be able to give Hakeem Jeffries money? Maybe they can't send him any money. All they can do is vote. But AIPAC can send him tens of millions of dollars. Other corporations can send him tens of millions of dollars. And it breaks something in these politicians. They get broken when they start receiving all this money and they start selling out and they start selling out. And you just see it across the Democratic Party. And this is why I think this moment, these conversations that everybody's trying to shut down online right now about the heart and soul of the Democratic Party are the most important conversations that we should be having right now in this lead up to the midterms. If you see what Hakeem Jeffries said there, and you're satisfied with that type of filibuster and obfuscation, if you're fine with that, then okay, maybe the only thing we have in common is that we both hate Trump and we both hate fascists. I want a Democratic Party that is built to last. I want an FDR style popular government. FDR's policies were so effective and so popular and led to so much economic growth.
They are still popular today.
Republicans
Medicaid is the most popular. Medicaid is the most popular thing ever invented.
They did the amendment with the term limits, which I support. We don't want any president in there for too long. And ever since then, all they've been trying to do is unravel all of the New Deal stuff. They still have PTSD from it. That's how popular it is when your government services you. You pay money into the social contract, you get roads, you get education, you get healthcare, etc. People fundamentally like it. And the Republicans have been wetting the bed ever since that happened. And we're still living in the aftermath of it. Okay, that's all we have. Like, subscribe, comment.
Bye.
We'll be back later.
All right, what do we got next? No more hail. We don't got any more hail in California.
Let's hear this moment from the very
It was hailing earlier. That was crazy.
end of her live stream the other day, 3 days ago. This was literally in the last 3 minutes. She seemingly was all good to go, wrapped up, when she said, actually, I got one more thing to say. So let's hear her out. This is in regard to Cenk Uygur's recent appearance on Tucker Carlson's show, which we covered. A lot of Tucker commentary today. So get ready, guys.
Second 3:30 p.m. a matinee show. And let me just be petty for a moment. Cenk did an interview with his buddy Tucker Carlson recently. You know, I wasn't going to comment on that, and I won't. Maybe I will at some other point, but I just want to point out that the day that interview dropped with Cenk, you know, just absolutely glazing the hell out of Tucker Carlson, who he believes is some sort of, you know, bastion of future populism, which, oh boy, my God, when Tucker Carlson is president, he's going to be so wrong. But that was the same day that Don Lemon was arrested. And it was just funny because...
By the way, I want to go back and hear that one more time.
Which, oh boy, my God, when Tucker Carlson is president, he's going to be so wrong. But
and this is something I've been talking about for a while, or at least speculating about, putting that thought out there, that horrible thought.
Yeah, I've been trying to put it away. Be like, stop saying that, Galvin. I don't want Tucker to be our president.
But it's at this point not just me who seemingly has this notion. It's Francesca, and it's actually also Jennifer Welch, as you're going to hear in another clip that we're going to play for you in a second. And if they're onto something, if we're onto something, and Tucker actually does run, oh my God, all of TYT's Tucker glazing will become so much more insidious in retrospect when we realize that they've been laying the groundwork for this presidential run of his, which again, a lot of people are speculating could be a possibility. I've been saying it for a while that it's a possibility, and it would really make sense why Tucker has been kind of courting them so much, as you're going to hear more about in another clip, as I said.
Oh, you're making me want to throw up, Gavin. You're making me want to throw up. I've been clinging to the hope that whenever I hear from people through the grapevine that are like, I know Tucker, they'll be like, Tucker doesn't want to do that. And I'll be like, thank God he doesn't want to do that. Thank God he doesn't want to do that. I will believe that. Thank you. I would love for him to not want to do this. But I think, you know, Gavin's the oracle. And I'm not exactly known for my election forecasting. That's not how I got this job. So I'm just scared now. I'm just like, fuck, because I also, you know, was talking
Gavin's
about Tucker in
Oracle.
relation to the Marjorie Taylor Greene dropping out of Congress. And we had that whole conversation where you were scaring the crap out of me. And I was like, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson are going to run for president together. And we need somebody with a firm, progressive, radical vision to defeat that. I think that Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene ticket is a motherfucker for Gavin Newsom to beat.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a brutal battle. I don't know if Tucker would lose to Newsom. I think it would be
That's what I mean. It would be really tough for Newsom to win.
Well, I know which side TYT would be on, and that's just what I want to put out there. Is that, you know, even though Anna admitted she was wrong about Trump, they want to leave themselves the space to still be pro Tucker 2028, assuming that happens, or Marjorie Taylor Greene 2028. They will happily support Republicans if they can come up with some excuse about said Republican being a populist Republican. You know, Cenk has already said he would vote for Massie Kana 28. So he's already said he'll vote Republican. You know what I'm saying? They're 100% laying the groundwork just in case Tucker runs, in my opinion. I think Francesca's really onto something. As I said, we're about to take a look at Jennifer Welch in conversation with Anna Kasparian, bringing up similar point quite awkwardly. But do you want to hear the rest of this real quick before we move on?
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson is president, he's going to be so wrong. But that was the same day that Don Lemon was arrested. And it was just funny because Don Lemon comes from CNN, a mainstream corporate news outlet, who is now gone independent, has a massively successful YouTube channel. Don Lemon covered Minnesota protests and went inside of a church to do so, where a pastor was colluding with ICE. He reported on it. And, you know, because this regime is nothing if not petty, loves Nicki Minaj, Nicki and, you know, Lemon were feuding, they went out and arrested his ass as a warning shot across the bow to every other journalist who wants to cover what people are doing in Minnesota. And what was the home of progressives doing that day? Sitting down with Tucker Carlson. So my, have the tables turned on what you once thought was a place where you could get reliable progressive news. No, man, it's Don Lemon now. It's Don Lemon who has me on his show.
Donald Lemon.
Do I agree with everything that people on that show say? No. Does he have me on coming from a more left perspective? Yes.
Oh.
So it's really funny.
That's pretty crazy. What a world we live in. To hear someone like Francesca, a real serious ironclad progressive, making the point that Don Lemon deserves the name Home of Progressives. That his YouTube channel is more deserving of the name Home of Progressives than her former
fucking TYT.
home, TYT.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. I would also, just for posterity, remind everyone that Jank went on Don Lemon's show and Don Lemon totally simped for him and like hella dog whistled about channels like the Vanguard being so mean to Jank and Anna.
Correct.
So shout out to you, Don. I know you watch the Vanguard. That's crazy.
Of course he does. Don Lemon does his research, dude.
CNN. He still watches our show.
He
Probably
fucking
for jokes and you know, good time. But I digress. I agree. I think that the last 8 months of Don Lemon have been just a total new chapter for him. He has been radicalized by the most recent Trump term, and I'm happy to have him out there. He's a fucking warrior for the people now. I mean, straight up, like it's wild for me to say that because I know him as the guy that gets drunk on New Year's, but he has been fighting the good fight, and he's been doing 10 times the job that Cenk and Anna have been doing.
Yup, 100%. Honestly, I don't remember what Cenk and Anna said about the Don Lemon case. I imagine they condemned his arrest. I fucking hope. I don't remember. But I do remember the day Jimmy Kimmel was taken off air. Anna defended that. And she was like, well, he did, you know, spread misinformation about Charlie Kirk on fucking TV. So maybe this is justified. So, yeah, it's just disgusting what has become of the Young Turks. And I'm glad to see Francesca continuing to beat that drum, continuing to point it out. And the Tucker fraternizing is specifically horrific and disturbing, in my opinion, giving her chilling prediction that Tucker could seek the presidency, a prediction that Zach and I have kind of been talking about for a while now. With that in mind, it's so much more horrifying because it's one thing to just be like, oh, you know, we need to unite with this guy to like spread the word about how evil Israel is, or like, okay, whatever. But I don't think that's what this is actually about. I think there's something brewing underneath the surface that's going to be downright disturbing when it all comes to, you know, when it all comes out. And that's what we're looking at, guys.
Yeah, I mean, and it all starts to come together, right? The poly market, the Peter Thiel money, the venture capital money, the anti-homelessness, right? The constant cuddling up to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you were also, you pointed out the Thomas Massie endorsing prematurely Kana Massie. If Ro Khanna has a single brain cell, he will not fucking do that. He would never run with a fucking libertarian who literally opposes his entire agenda. That's what's so fucked up about this, guys. If you have awareness and all you care about is the Epstein files, fine, I could see but it's about the same level of brain logic as the guy who's like, I want Joe Rogan to run for president. Like,
exactly.
Like, oh, I like that guy. I want him to run for president. You haven't put a single bit of brain power.
Oh, Joe Rogan for president.
Ro Khanna wants to invest in the American people, and Thomas Massie wants to fucking cut every single program that's beneficial to the poor, the marginalized, any kind of government spending. They are on diametrically opposite sides of the political spectrum. That's what their whole fucking point was when they came together with the Epstein files. They said Ro Khanna is over here and I am over here. And there's this whole world of American politics in between us, but we are going to come together because we want the child predators out of our fucking government. We want transparency. We both believe in that. So even in our world of differences, we're going to come together on this one thing. And you can admire that, and you can say that's good for the both of them. That's how we should do politics in America. But to say they should run the country together means that you have mashed potatoes for brains.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, Thomas Massie is pretty much obviously the best Republican that is currently in Washington, but that doesn't mean he has any business being the fucking president. Obviously,
Exactly.
I would never support a Republican, and for Cenk to even entertain that is
What the
completely
fuck?
ridiculous.
If a
because,
Republican's
obviously
got
they
the
agree
right
on
idea. Well, he
Epstein.
used to be a
They might agree
Republican,
on,
don't
like,
forget.
Ending the war here or there, but on like basically any domestic agenda, it couldn't be more opposite. I mean, Rokan is a Bernie style social democrat. At least that's what he, that's what I hope he is. Thomas Massie is a fucking libertarian who doesn't even want like 9/11 first responders to have health care. So it's like, okay, what's going to come of that?
To be honest, at this point, this is kind of fun for me, making fun of Anna. I saw this clip. I couldn't believe. We could just play the first part.
Let's go, girl.
Because there's a statement that she makes here about Tucker Carlson that was just genuinely shocking to me in its ignorance. If you talk about Israel-Palestine in any meaningful way, I don't understand how you could make this statement. But credit to, our buddy Jennifer Welch, Jennifer and Angie over at I've Had It. They're doing really great work. That conversation with Hassan was phenomenal. And I loved how Jennifer talked about how she's changed her perspective and she's more open-minded. She was very much about, vote blue no matter who is how she would categorize it. And while she still would probably act that way herself, she hears what Hassan has to say about, I'm not going to vote for Gavin Newsom, and sees how that's representative of so many other people's opinions and is like, I'm not going to bludgeon these people for feeling this way.
That was a rational conversation
between
parts of the Democratic Party that need to talk to each other, and everyone trying to short circuit it is the problem themselves.
Exactly. And so she's just showing an open-mindedness that I think is commendable, and the members of the Democratic Party should be engaging in it. And I guess they had this conversation with Anna on. They had her on. She's not a Democrat or leftist anymore. She's independent, on the lines, in the center.
So impressive.
Or something.
On the rails.
A very...
Between the rails.
A bespoke political ideology, if you will.
A pure individual.
We're all snowflakes, right? And no snowflake is the same. And apparently that's the same for political influencers and how they choose to brand themselves when launching Substacks. So this is an astonishing clip. Here is Jennifer Welch asking her about her collaborations with Tucker Carlson.
Which I want to talk to you next. My next curiosity about you is I see you collab with Tucker Carlson a lot. And so I want you to tell me about that. Because Tucker, to me, is a very dangerous person because he speaks to a lot of people in middle America that have extreme homophobia, extreme transphobia. And I have so many gay friends in Oklahoma that are bullied by their churches, their families, their governments. And he recently was saying like FAGGOT multiple times. And he is clear-eyed on Israel, but I feel like that his position on Israel is also wrapped in, this is my opinion, in some anti-Semitism the same way his homophobia is. And I wanted to get your take on that.
I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I don't at all, actually. In fact, he has even in the past supported Zionism. But I think once he realizes how detrimental
that was really, we're going to let it go, but that was the money quote for me. When I saw that, I didn't watch this whole thing. I watched the clip of this, and that was the first thing I heard come out of her mouth. Tucker Carlson is not anti-Semitic, she claims, because he previously supported Zionism. How do you work for longer than myself in the political discourse, debate, analysis space, and you're not a far right person and have that sort of opinion and understanding about Zionism.
Yeah.
Zionists are some of the biggest anti-Semites in the entire country. The Republican Party, the Christian Zionists that populate the Republican Party, Kufi, their entire ideology, and I believe that they've talked about this on their program before, is based on the idea that Jews need to return to the birthplace of Christ so that he can return, and a majority of them are going to get burned up and die, and then the third or so that accept Christ as their savior get to sit on the right hand of God, and we will they get to survive. The right-wing Christian evangelical Zionist movement in this country is predicated on a worldview that results in many Jews dying in their fantasy of the situation, let alone Tucker Carlson's trafficking and things like the Great Replacement theory, which he still to this day engages in. The notion that there's this demographic replacement that's being puppeteered by, these globalists, they'll say, but what that means is Jews. The immigration policy right now is being led by people who genuinely believe that. They believe a majority of the Great Replacement theory. They may not say that first part. They'll talk about how Latinos and brown people are replacing us and that Democrats want to import them in so that they can have a stronger voter base or what have you. They may leave out that first part, but that is where that originated. And Tucker Carlson was a major purveyor of that.
He was a vacationer in Israel for a long time. He's like, oh, wait a second, people have a problem with this country? Because, yeah, Israel got massively unpopular. But he was absolutely there to support them and to, more importantly, reinforce the Islamophobic narratives that are basically foundational to Zionism worldwide. The anti-Muslim, they're monkeys, whatever he said about Iraq. He's been there. And this sort of idea that, now you got to give people space to change their mind. His dad was part of fucking Air America, the CIA's, or was it not Air America, the
I forget what it's called. I'm sorry.
You know what it is? The sort of State Department's
carve out, yeah.
For Radio Free America. Like the idea that he didn't know what he was doing or what Israel's been doing this whole time is ludicrous.
Yeah, Radio Free America is a fucking.
But it's something that people need to say in order to get onto his show. And the of softball interview he gave Fuentes to me is cut and dry. He is just an opportunist. And actually, sorry to get a little bit upset. Like Anna Kasparian is on this issue. I like anybody going on Piers Morgan say, don't be Zionist and hate Palestinians. Anna talking about her pivot is because of what the Democrats' policy on Israel is a bit rich because it was actually about the Democrats' policy on trans people and immigration. And that's just harder to say now because it's actually pretty disgusting that was what she built her pivot on. So it's much safer for her to say, actually, my problem with the Democrats is they supported genocide because, yeah, we all have that problem with them. Guess what? Trump is not a big change in any direction on that. In fact, he's doing the same thing to Cuba right now.
Richard Spencer, who is quite literally a white supremacist himself and a anti-Semite, don't think that's controversial to say, has described himself as a Zionist before and spoken about how white nationalism is analogous to Zionism. You could say I'm a white Zionist in the sense that I care about my people. I want to have a secure homeland for us and ourselves, just like you want a secure homeland in Israel. He and other Nazis and white supremacists have repeatedly praised the same thing. They use the same words. Nationalist character,
and that means they don't want brown people in America. Correct.
White supremacists and neo-Nazis and anti-Semites in this country like the state of Israel because they believe that Jews shouldn't even be here, and that they should be in Israel. The statement that Tucker Carlson, can't be anti-Semitic. Because he has previously supported Zionism is one of the most ignorant statements I have ever heard from somebody who I once considered to be fairly intelligent.
She's been in the news business for how long?
Caused her to completely lose touch with basic understandings of politics. I mean, we can go for a little bit longer.
I'll
if you
just
want,
say real quick, the issue with Zionism, it has nothing to do with Judaism. The Israel with Zionism is that it's an exclusive nationalism.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, a lot of the original supporters, the founding fathers of Zionism, I forget which one, but thought that, for instance, Dreyfus was guilty during the Dreyfus affair.
Yes.
Lord Balfour was anti-Semitic in and of himself. I mean, he did not want Jews to change the character of Britain.
Yeah, exactly.
That is why there was a marriage
Balfour,
between
the
white
declaration.
colonizers and the Zionist movement, was because of anti-Semitism from its very outset.
Correct.
Yep. And so the white nationalists like
100%.
Tucker Carlson, don't people think it's a little bit suspicious how they have the exact same sort of paranoia about Muslims that the Zionists have? Is that
Yeah,
a little bit
interesting.
suspicious?
Yes, and
And they share that in common.
Later on, will address that. She addresses the fact that Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene have apparently changed their opinions, or at least Tucker Carlson, on Muslim people in general. But like, listen to the conversation that we're even having here. It's so factionalized. There's no like path for liberation for the people of Palestine, truly, with this kind of vision that is so factionalized and based on different religions versus the other.
I mean, Tucker's engagement, it's like, oh, look at these Christians that got victimized.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he has to lead into it, because he knows he's conditioned his audience to distrust Muslims.
Exactly. Let's just play a little bit more of this and get more context. Maybe it'll help.
I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I don't at all, actually. In fact, he has even in the past like supported Zionism. But I think once he realizes how detrimental the U.S. alliance with Israel really is, he's kind of moved off of supporting Israel in the same way that he has in the past. I really don't think he's anti-Semitic. I think you raise a valid point about his views on, gay people. I definitely do agree with you on that. And I disagree with him. I have a completely different view when it comes to gay people, gay rights, gay marriage, and all of that. But in regard to the anti-Semitic question, I don't think he's anti-Semitic at all. In fact, he's pretty well read on the issues that hurt us due to our relationship with an alliance with Israel. And he articulates that regularly. And by the way, I mean, he had asked me to go on his show, his podcast, a year and a half in advance of me finally agreeing to do it. And part of the reason why I wouldn't do it initially is because I just thought there's like nothing, there's no redeeming quality about this guy. There's no use in having a conversation with him. But his producers were so persistent that I finally decided, okay, fine, I'll listen to his podcast. I'll make an informed decision and see if there's maybe a possibility that I'll do this interview. And I do think he gets taken out of context a lot. He's definitely deeply conservative. I don't, obviously we're going to have to,
and very focused on, as if this matters.
Yeah.
The booking process of getting her on Tucker Carlson.
I've actually heard things about that. Years and years ago, I mean, pre-COVID.
It's interesting.
I heard it's interesting who gets the invite and who doesn't. Because I've heard things about Tucker Carlson where he'll invite people who write for leftist publications and pick their brains about certain things like criticizing the Clintons or whatever. And I've heard that those people have said, hey, I'll come on to Fox News when you're still on there to talk all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden the trail goes cold because he just didn't really want to platform them. So it's just interesting who Tucker wants to platform versus who he doesn't.
Also, the whole response there was just about gay people and did not address one thing that Jennifer mentioned about trans people.
He's so well read now. When did he get well read about Israel-Palestine?
It's also like, I mean, some of the most evil people on the planet are well read. Oh, good. I mean, Henry Kissinger was a brilliant guy. Okay, great. Absolves him of everything. I mean, it's very, very bizarre.
Why is he? How much older than me is Tucker Carlson? Like, why is this stuff just? He's not a baby boy. He's been in news for decades and decades and decades. Like in the 90s.
Right.
This guy was writing for publications, but now he's well read about Israel-Palestine. He could have shown it a little bit fucking earlier.
It's fun for me to kind of mock this. It's just a bit of layups for us at this point. It's not that hard. But I mean, in reality, I guess it's a bit of covering this helps us kind of reframe how we should probably look, I think, at Israel-Palestine as like when we're looking at the discourse and the momentum towards Palestinian liberation.
Correct.
What kinds of allies are going to be sincere in that fight? And it's not going to be a Tucker Carlson, who I think it's helpful right now what he's doing. I welcome that he goes and speaks at the.
I agree.
He went to that orphanage, right? Again, it's this overfocus on Christianity because he's talking about the factions.
Right.
He's stoking factions between religious groups.
He's stoking religious strife.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
obscuring the nationalism of it. But sure, he's against Israel, so fine.
And fomenting anti-Semitism by doing that, as we claim he's not anti-Semitic, where, you know, what a true egalitarian vision is talking about Israel as a secular humanist state that is not maintained by force and domination and on the basis of ethnic or religious supremacy.
Where the hell's my fucking people from across the pond tonight, mate?
It's quite easy, I think, at this point, given where public polling is, speaking about the genocide and talking about the moral outrage of it, and going on cable news and advocating for that. I think that's a good thing to do. But when we're talking about like what the next step is for
gaming time,
building a political constituency that can change things, deciding if Jews or Muslims are worse is not really the kind of discourse that I think is quite helpful in that regard.
No, I would say it's probably exactly the wrong sort of discourse.
It's
but,
literally the distraction.
I have Francesca Albanese on. It's just like when you're emphasizing again the religious elements of these this issue and not the nationalism, which is foundational to it. You're doing the work of the Zionists still.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone.
All right, here we go. Some good news.
Calling from a 308 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it is Kowalski, the last Kowalski of the House of Frank residing in Nebraska.
Kowalski, from Nebraska. How are you? What did you, we name dropped you the other day.
When
we had Dan Osborne on.
Oh, yeah, I caught that. Thank you for doing that. I've been seeing a lot of chatter with some of the people I know around him. I'm really hoping that he's doing well in like Lincoln and Omaha. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of energy in the rural area for just about anything. But that could also work in his favor. Like people just don't show up to vote.
Toronto.
I think it's going to be the case. I think we're going to see a really low turnout for Republicans, at least in rural areas. So, but
I wouldn't be surprised. Yes.
Oh yeah, there is.
No, Fuentes is telling
hopeless,
people to stay home.
You know, some hope I've seen. Have you heard of North Carolina 14th District candidate Kate Barr?
No.
Well, I got a random Instagram ad of her campaign last night. I looked into it. It looks like she's employing the, some might call it the Kowalski strategy. She is running in the Republican primary, and on her website it says the only reason she is doing so is because she is a progressive and the district is gerrymandered to where only Republicans can win. So she is running as a progressive Republican.
I just checked out her site, katebarcantwin.com, and she switched it to katebarcanwin.com. Is that her? Your Republican candidate for U.S. House District 14?
Yes.
And
I believe it's the Can Win talks about her platform, which looks pretty good.
Oh, interesting. And so she is, she's running in the Republican primary. She wrote, plot twist, I'm not a Republican, but I am running in the Republican primary. Why run as a Republican? Because I'm an American and I care about my community. Running as a Republican is the only way to kick these corrupt cowards out of office. Your leaders should represent you. You should be able to vote them out when they do a bad job. Why not run as a Democrat in the general election then? Instead, they've rigged the maps to make sure the Republican candidate will win the general election every time. So she's running in this Republican primary.
More of this. I don't Sorry, Kowalski.
Ah!
But I'll just say, I'll jump in because I came in late on this. But this is what the nonpartisan league did in North Dakota, and I like this. Go on, Kowalski.
Oh, no, I was actually just about to mention that. I was going to say, like, this is exactly what we need. We need to start making the parties seem almost meaningless, because
Correct.
this is where a party like Power will begin to lose, and, like, movements can start filling the void. It's one of the things that's giving me a lot of optimism lately is the fact that, like, Democrats are getting a lot of momentum going into this primary, or not primary, but the midterms, but, like, the National Party still has no strategy or plan.
None.
So if you have smaller organizations like DSA, or if, you know, maybe in some states there's some nonpartisan stuff that we're just not hearing about. I mean, maybe they're hearing about it at the state level. If you're organized, if you have a plan, guess what? You're more organized than Schumer or Jeffries. So
that's kind of funny.
Punch
You just
above
need
your
the money,
weight.
though.
It's going to take us time to, you know, actually, you know, remove them from power. But this could be really good. And I mean, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of depressed Republicans right now, and they definitely don't have an objective aside from, like, I don't know, working for demons. But
this is why, like, and this fight's not over. There was just a new group announced the other day by the Abundance people. But this is why stuff like Malinowski came out after losing in New Jersey's 11th to a very progressive candidate. Came out today when he announced that he was conceding that he will not support, and no one should support anybody who's funded by AIPAC or an AIPAC cutout, essentially. But
no,
the Abundance people did not put their best foot forward. They have a lot of money, but they have really no broad ideas for how Democrats should function.
They've
other
done nothing.
Than a couple of essays on zoning reform for specific places. May or may not be good, but that's not what you run on a national campaign on. Unlike what we've seen in the past, it seems to me, this time around with Trump, there is a sense that people are not looking to go the safe route with Democratic candidates. They are looking to go with well, I don't know if safe route is the right way, but they're not willing to go with what has worked in the past because it hasn't been working. And so,
yeah, the corporate norms are giving way to actual populism, but populism that is going to be inclusionary because, like, I mean, it's just popular.
100%.
Everyone's sick and tired of this nihilistic corporate view of the world. So
100%. And this is this is different than I've seen in the past because after George W. Bush,
no one can kill her. I can't kill her.
There was a flight to sort of like safety, if you will. After Ronald Reagan, there was the allure of this corporate candidate. Now, to be clear, Bill Clinton won with 45% of the vote.
Yeah.
But so it feels like it's a little different this time. But appreciate the call.
Yep.
Ooh, the Majority Report, 2 million subscribers. Let's go.
Elections aren't everything. We need to start building our bases and whatnot. So, everyone, have a good one.
There you go. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take.
So one of the points that I've made a number of times on this show is that Nick Fuentes.
That's it, dude. No more news. Nick Fuentes. Never thought I'd be playing this game again. What is wrong with me?
Traveling to Eichenwald. Prepare to attack.
Fucking Eichenwald again? I couldn't vote. It's 9. Yeah, except I'm playing Overwatch at 1440 at 300 frames a second versus before I was playing at 90 frames a second, streaming from a potato. So at least I'm not doing that anymore. Show me that. Almost got it! Almost got it! Almost got it! So easy. Don't die. I'm so tired of open world. Meow meow. See? Distraction. Let's go. Let's go. What a pog. Bitch. Look out! Look out, boys! One down, one down. No, he got me. No. Ooh, that scorched him, all right. Han's on top. How do you maneuver with this fucking cat? My claws don't go that far. Frozen, get her!
No one can hide from my sight.
Ah, Lucy. Get picked. Go, let's go, let's go. Nice ult. Backside left. Want some of this? Huh? Move the cart! I don't think so. Pathetic. God. Missed. Missed. Oh, I almost got it, dude. I almost got it in. Didn't care. 4 inches. Yeah, it's good. We got this. Easy. Coming. Behind. Look out. Coin flip. God, Hanzo's behind the cart. Cat is fast, dude. Okay, we're good. Let's go. Get him. Ah! I got flooded. Couldn't get out of there.
Come on, let's regroup.
Yeah, we got all. Use them all. I'm coming. I got 2 minutes. We're good. Get one first before you move. Look out. I got it. Yeah, we got it. There we go. Easy. GG's.
Play of the game.
He was definitely a problem. What happened, bro? Oh, no wonder.
Vote for your map.
Get run over by a train.
Welcome to Circuit Royale.
I mean, fucking fun to play. I mean, the fuck. Coin flip, kid killed your ass in the last game. Oh.
Clear heads, sharp eyes. Five, four, three.
What does that do?
One.
Do shit. Oh, Hanzo again. Left top. I'm gonna go get him. They got cat. Go. What? Ouch, that hurt. Okay, we need to regroup. That didn't work. Ooh, mythics. Okay. Halo to lose. Don't die. Don't die, bro. Hanzo! Got nothing. They're hungry. They're hungry. They're thirsty as fuck, dude. Tryhards. We gotta clap back! Get him! Get the cat! No! Okay, now I have ult. Hanzo has ult. Hanzo has ult. No. Die. Motherfucker. Not fun. Not fun out there. Not fun out there. I don't like it. That's it. What's the plan?
I carry my burdens alone.
I'm throwing a pylon. Go. Come on. She's weak. Go. But I had her. We didn't get her. We didn't get her. She got all. Never mind. That's hilarious. She really got my healing pylon. That was good. With her ult. That was useful. Finally. Good job. Nice. Stay on it. Oh no! Thanks for the warning, Diva. I didn't move. Oh! Come here, come here! No! No! They're everywhere! We had none DPS.
Play of the game.
The only play of the game. Good job. Done for.
Welcome.
Over there. I carry my burdens alone.
What is this game? Is this a game? Middle of the game? What happened? Hello? What the fuck is this? She's ulting on me. What is happening in this game? Who's raging in this game? What happened? I'm coming, I'm coming. I got heals. Wait. Group. Stop dying. Stop dying. Stop dying. Group, folks. Yummy, 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 yummy. Look out, Paul. Up. Ooh, that hurt. His ult. Dumb. Didn't need to use it. Alright, we got... Good game, guys. Sorry I couldn't help. Can levers suck?
Play of the game.
Yeah, you really needed to do that after someone left. That's really useful. None sportsmanship.
Choose your map.
What? No. Oh, that map must suck, I guess. I haven't played it yet. Fine, do that then.
Hey there. Been a while since I had so much company.
Fearsome creatures stalk at night. Count me among them.
Ooh, I've seen that skin. That the mythic skin? That's sick.
Hello? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture.
Someone's up there. Oh. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Pick him. Nice, go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Right here. Not good, not good. My bad. That cat was behind, I didn't see him. Okay, Marissa. Marissa. Okay, Marissa. Okay. Oh, got him! Got him! Mercy. We got it. Got her. Got him. Got him. Got him. Got him. Okay, we'll take him.
Objective A captured. Escort the payload.
Can I carry you? Is that, am I dragging you around? Is that what's happening? Yes! Okay. I've never played this. Didn't work! Didn't work, sorry. My bad, my bad. First time. Ruin him, ruin him, ruin him. Ruin him. He's trying to ult, dude. Yeah, good job. That's how you do it. Did he ult? Like, okay, I got it. I'm on it, I'm on it. if they're gonna be that aggressive. We'll send them Orisa with a fucking Mercy, and it's over. Oh, he hooked me! Oh, he knows how to hook. Look out. It's okay, we're moving.
I've got you in my sights.
Cat. Above. Out. No, couldn't move. Oh, that was well planned. Okay. Nice. Come back. Kill. Oh, mercy. Gotta kill one. Okay. Got her. Oh, he's weak. Kill him. Soldier. Go. We got it. We're good. I'm coming. Corner. Go. Mercy's mad now. She's on me. Mercy's mad. Their Mercy went fucking battle Mercy. I wasn't expecting that. Let's go Mercy. It's old school, bro. We need a tank, dude. We need a tank. Wait for the tank. Pick. Okay, we're good. Not again. Getting all the perks out. No! Not the soldier again. Son of a bitch, I hate him. Oh, thank you. Go. Yes. Mercy for the fucking clutch. Go. Go. Left. Hanzo. Oh, yeah. Barrier. That's right. There's a barrier. Yeah. I almost forgot. I'm staying on cart. Stay on cart. Stay back. Come back. Cat's on us. Cat's coming with all. Look. Get him. Get him. On the cart. We countered Cat. Good job. Don't die. He's left. They're going left. There we go. Okay, let's go. Go for Mercy. Nope. Ah, he hooked. He doesn't have a hook. He likes hooking. Sorry, please. No. Nice push. I'm pushing. Nope. Cat got me. She's got Mercy on her. He's pulling back though. Go. Nice. Good job. Continue to be on fire, sir. Go. Mercy right. Hog left. I saw him and he hooked me still. Can't believe it. He's so good with the hook, dude. He gets POTG for sure. No, behind you. Getting whole hogged. No, I couldn't. No. We tried.
Play of the game.
Of course. We had two good ones. That's such a good Hanzo ult spot because you're in that corner, you can't get out.
Vote for a map.
Okay. We'll like that one. Alright, chat, I gotta go.